What do you guys think it means for two triangles to be congruent?
The same.
It means they're the same. Can you be more specific?
Every angle is
Every area of the triangle is equal.
Okay, every angle. That's part of it. Did you get that from the book or from your own head?
I read the word.
You read it in the book. Okay. Somebody said something about angles. What were you about to say? Okay. Huh?
each angle is the same.
Well, each matching angle is the same. Yes. And each matching side is the same. So they don't use the word matching, they use the word corresponding. So the corresponding parts have to be congruent. So if I drew this picture kind of right, what do you think angle A corresponds to on that other triangle? Angle E. Now my picture's not perfect, but you guys get the idea, right? So if these two triangles were congruent, those two angles would have to be congruent. What does B correspond to? F. And what does C correspond to? Angle B. All right, so corresponding angles have to be congruent. Angle A is congruent to angle E. Angle B is congruent to angle F. Angle C is congruent to angle D. Okay, but also the corresponding sides are congruent. So side BC here, or you could call it segment BC, corresponds to what? Segment DF. So BC is a line segment. It would be congruent to DF. AB over there would match EF. And then on the bottom, AC and DE. So notice they're not facing the same direction. They can be pointing all different directions. They're kind of facing each other, not the same direction. They can be pointing all different directions, but as long as the parts are matching, it doesn't matter. Okay, sometimes they'll write it like this, and sometimes they'll just say this. You guys know the difference between these two? We've talked about this before. Not a lot, but a little bit. Okay, this just means, shh, guys. This just means these two things are the same, and this means their lengths are equal. If this is true, this is true. If this is true, this is true. But this is talking about a number, and this is talking about the segment itself. But if line segments are congruent, then their lengths are the same. So it's kind of the same thing. All right. So if all 6 of these facts are true, then the triangles are congruent. Or you could say it backwards. If the triangles are congruent, all of these things are true. So 6 pairs, 3 pairs of congruent angles, 3 pairs of congruent sides. And how would I say the triangles are congruent? Well, there is a triangle symbol. So if I said triangle ABC is congruent to triangle, okay, when you do this, the order does matter. If I said ABC is congruent to DEF, that would actually be wrong. Because what does A actually match? What does A correspond to over there in that triangle? E. So if I go ABC on the first one, which I could have done like BCA, it doesn't really matter. But whatever I do on the first one, I need to match it on the second. So if I start with A on the first one, I need to start with E on this one. Because these two angles are the matching angles. And if I went to B next, where should I go next on this triangle? F, because B and F are corresponding angles. And if C is last, of course, that leaves D on this one. So the order of that statement does matter. Even if I didn't have this picture, you guys listening? Listen. Even if I didn't have this picture and I had this statement, I could write all 6 of these facts just by looking up here. Okay, so angle A is congruent to angle E. Angle B is congruent to angle F. Angle C is congruent to angle D. Also, line segment AB is congruent to line segment EF, right there. Or BC is congruent to FD, right there. Or they're not next to each other, but line segment AC is congruent to line segment ED. That was the last one. Okay, you guys got it? Clear as mud?
Pretty.
It's pretty. Okay. Number one. It's pretty easy. That's what you're saying. Okay. Which triangle appears to be congruent to the given triangle? So it's matching, basically. So you gotta look carefully. I guess just, they all kind of look alike, but which one do you guys think matches triangle on number one? D is correct. It's twisted around, but it is the same triangle. Doesn't matter how they flip it or twist it. It's the same. Number three is kind of the same thing. Name two pairs of polygons that appear to be congruent. So you could have rectangles that are congruent. You could have pentagons that are congruent. This applies to everything. Most of this chapter is triangles, though. Okay, so can you guys name a pair of congruent triangles on number three? D and E, yes, that is one. They said in the directions there are two, so there's one more pair in there.
Are the symbols like would we still do like triangle A on like number 4, or how?
No. Triangles are named, so like on number 6. Well, really we're only saying triangles once we get down to 7. They're just putting like multiple choice, like A, B, C, D. So no. You name the triangles based on their vertices, like triangle ABC, triangle DEF. They didn't put any vertices on number 4. So you just do what I did. You put D and E. Okay, A and B are actually not the same on number 3. They are slightly different.
B and C.
B and C are the same, yeah. So you gotta be a little bit careful because A and B do look very similar. And they look pretty close, but A is kind of lopsided. I don't know how to describe it. B and C are basically both equilateral triangles. Number 5, complete each congruent statement for the congruent figures. So they're telling us these two things, they would be called quadrilaterals, right? These two quadrilaterals are congruent. So A says segment LM
HI?
is congruent to segment HI, yeah, because they're both on top, they look the same, right? Whatever symbol the book uses, you match it. So if they put segment LM, we're going to put segment HI. B angle I is congruent to what? Angle M? You got to kind of find it in the picture. I guess it takes a little while. C segment GJ. GJ is on the bottom of the left. That matches KN. On number 6, the triangle is like twisted and flipped, so I guess you might have to think about it a little bit more, but it's not that tricky, I don't think. D angle N is congruent to angle J. Segment KL. Let's see, where's KL? KL is, oh yeah, the top. The left, it's on the right quadrilateral, it's the left side. So it'll match congruent to segment GH. And what's angle K congruent to? Angle G. Number 7, write a valid triangle congruent statement for each pair. Pay particular attention to the markings on the diagrams. So what they mean by that is when they put one mark and one mark, that means those two sides are congruent. Or if they put one arc and one arc, those two angles are congruent. Or two marks and two marks, those sides are congruent. You guys get it?
Yeah.
All right. So, we're writing a triangle congruent statement, like triangle ABC is congruent to blah, blah, blah. You don't have to put ABC for the first triangle. You could put like BAC or CBA, or it doesn't really matter. But whatever you put for the first triangle, you need to make sure that the second triangle matches the order. So if I put A first, I need to make sure that whatever I start over here matches A. So what does match A on number 7? P. And then I put B, so what goes with B? Q, because they both have two arcs. These are the same angle. And then, of course, C, it leaves, the only one we didn't do is L. So this is kind of hard for me to grade because you guys can, the order on these can all be switched around, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. All right. Anybody want to help me with number 9? I've talked a lot. You guys can do these on your own, but Case, you're up to bat. Help me on number 9, Case.
Number 9. Okay, so we have angle,
Triangle.
triangle, LMA.
Okay. If he goes LMA, what's he gonna have to do in the next one? Go ahead.
Is congruent to angle or triangle BPX.
Right. L to M to A is like V to P to X.
I don't know why I went that way.
Doesn't matter. It's all good. There's not a right way to do it. Number 11. Okay, on 11 it's a little different because it's isosceles. So that means like P, A, K, and H. Oh, no, it's not isosceles. They put them different. Never mind. Just looks isosceles. All right. Somebody else? Deb?
So, triangle, PUA is congruent to triangle HTK.
Yep. PUA. So notice P has one arc. So when he started on this right triangle, he started with H because it has one arc on it. Oh, what was it? HTK. All right. 13 is kind of the same thing. Let's see. Kenton on 13 on A. If they go TIS, what would we have to do? Like TIS, triangle. If they say triangle TIS, that would be congruent to triangle. And then what order should we use for the right triangle? DNA. Whoops. DNA. You guys know what DNA stands for?
Yeah,
Oh, fancy. So smart. Okay. Abby, how about B? If we go triangle IST, what would we do for that right triangle? NAD. C. TSI. Manny, what would that be? TSI.
Triangle DAN.
And then Dan. Triangle SIT. SIT. And, oops. Probably should have been writing the triangle symbols on all these. Triangle, triangle, triangle.
Can you put the triangle symbol like to the right, or do you always have to keep it to the left?
It's always on the left. Would I count it wrong if it's on the right? Probably not. Maybe if I was grumpy. And if it was a test, I'd take 1 point off. Just for spite. Okay, let's see. 1 through 23. Oh, I forgot about these. Hey, did you say you're scared? That was my creepy laugh. My villain laugh. Okay. Are you guys paying attention on 14, 15, 16? Because if I have to explain this again, I am going to be cranky boy. Which means I'm going to be taking points off for writing triangles at the end of the statement. Okay. Name the congruent corresponding parts of the congruent triangles. How many congruent corresponding parts are there in two triangles? 6. This is what I did at the beginning. There's 3 pairs of angles and 3 pairs of sides. And we got to name them all. On 14, they drew the picture. 15 and 16, they did not draw the picture. You don't really need a picture to do this. So, what would the congruent angles for number 15 be? Angle Q on the first triangle is going to have to be congruent to what?
Angle L.
Angle L. All right, and then angle M, angle P. It's kind of these 3 problems are a little bit busy work because there's a lot of them. And then angle N, angle S. All right, there's the 3 pairs of angles. Now we need 3 pairs of sides. So basically every vertex is next to another vertex. So every 2 letters makes a side. So here, let me write it.
Would we do segments?
Yes. Sides of polygons are line segments. So that's the best way to represent them. Q, this is N. Okay, so QM, I don't really need to draw the picture. There's a Q here and an M. So QM is going to be a side of the triangle. So QM segment is congruent to LP. Segment LP. All right, and then MN is congruent to the last 2, so that should match P and S. PS. You guys know what PS stands for? You guys know DNA but not PS? Close. Postscript. Script is just, writing. You got DNA right and PS wrong. Jesse got it right. Okay, there's one more. What's the missing side? Yeah, QN. If there's another letter up here, N and Q on the triangle are next to each other, even if they aren't right here. So QN. Is QN segment, QN the same thing as NQ? Yes. The order of these letters doesn't really matter. QM, NQ, same thing. QN and LS. All right, that's the 6. So 14 and 16 should look very similar to this.
Why doesn't Q, why isn't QN congruent to another angle other than just P? Why is it?
When they write this statement, that implies, oh wait, did I put it wrong? QMNLPS? Oh. No, I did it right.
Oh, that's LP?
Oh, you thought this was an angle.
Yeah. My bad.
LPS. All right. 17. Had to throw some fun ones in there. All right, so we're trying to say that these two triangles are congruent. To say the triangles are congruent, right now, all we know is that we have to say like all the angles are congruent and all the sides are congruent. So we kind of need like 6 facts. If you look at line 1 on number 17, how many things do we already know are congruent?
B and E.
Like they list segment AB is congruent to segment DE. That's one pair of congruent things. Segment AC is congruent. Like the line, the things we already know from the picture. We have 4 pairs of congruent things. Just because that's what it showed in the picture. So how many more things do we need to prove are congruent before we're ready to say the triangles are congruent? You guys didn't follow me on that? 2. Okay. On 15, we just said 6 pairs of things that are congruent, right? On 15, we said 6 pairs of things are congruent because the triangles were congruent. To prove triangles are congruent, we kind of need to say all 6 pairs of things are congruent. On line 1, they give us 4 things that we already know are congruent. 4 pairs. So we're missing 2 pairs. Okay. Anyways, how do we know line 1? We give it. If we can say all 6 pairs of parts are congruent, then the triangles have to be congruent. We know 4 pairs just from the given, just from the picture. Okay, if you look at the picture, you guys see all those red marks?
Yeah.
Those are the things that we already knew. That's where they got line 1, the given stuff.
No.
Okay, so, but you'll notice there's actually a couple angles in there that do not have red marks.
Angle A is congruent to B.
Okay, we don't know that yet. If you look at line 2 on the proof, it says the reason vertical angle theorem. So what do we know must be true by the vertical angle theorem? Okay, yeah, I'm sure a few of you said it, but angle BCA, that angle in the middle, and angle DCE are congruent, right? So, angle, I forgot what I said, BCA, DCE. There we go. Okay, they supplied the reason. They said it's because they're vertical angles. Now, line 3, we're ready to say what you guys, 1 or 2 of you said it. Angle A is congruent to angle D, but how do we know that? I think we used this trick yesterday.
When 2 angles on 2 triangles are congruent.
Right. If 2 pairs of angles in the 2 triangles are congruent, the 3rd pair has to be congruent. Okay, the book kind of cheated on this. Even though this doesn't have a name, okay, this is what they wrote. AA implies AAA. So, in other words, if you have 2 pairs of congruent angles, then you have 3 pairs of congruent angles. So, instead of writing like that big sentence we wrote out yesterday, they wrote that. A little bit cheaty, but that's okay. It wouldn't have fit if they wrote it out. Okay, and then line 4, how do we know the 2 triangles are congruent? They have, because all the angles and segments are congruent, the triangles have to be congruent, but that's just by, anybody say it? I don't know. What'd you say? Good job, Jackson. And you did not get that out of the back, right?
No. What?
Okay, now you sound guilty. A couple weeks ago, Luke was answering every single question.
Out of the back of the book.
Yeah. It's like, are you getting these out of the back? Like, no. 5 minutes later, are you getting these out of the back? No. 5 minutes later, are you getting these out of the back? Yes.
In science, he always, with the most confident voice, answers a question wrong, and it's so funny.
As long as you say with confidence, I think it should count. 18. Yeah, we can skip that. It's fine. It's my Friday. It's my Friday gift to you.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you.
Mr.
Y'all
Jordan,
was right down.
so if we say all of the answers on our test with confidence, all of them right.
How do you write confidently? I'm not sure about that.
Exclamation, we can always say
You can, yeah, all caps.
with confidence.
Yeah, just say, I am confident about this answer.
X equals 18 with confidence.
What if I'm confident you're wrong?
Are we skipping 19?
My confidence.
You've got more confidence than me.
19?
You're almost getting 18.
So, how far did I say? 23?
Just sit on that phone and say thank you.
He was locked in. It's the same thing. Basically, they're saying in the directions, the scissor truss forms congruent triangles. Apparently, I think this is a picture of like the inside of a roof. Basically, they call it a scissor truss. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The important part is that these two triangles that they drew are supposed to be congruent. Got it? Okay, so 20 just says BD, which means oops, yep, I started to, yeah. My brain got twisted around. These are easy, you guys don't need my help.
For nothing,
So we're skipping 18.
Moses, you ruined our life.
Oh my gosh.
Even I'm turning on you for some reason. Try hard. Number 19, AC. AC is a what? How long is AC? 6. Because it matches the triangle on the right. So it's got to be 6 feet long. Okay, 21. What's the measurement of angle C? 75 degrees. Now normally you wouldn't call that angle C, but since there's nothing going on below, I guess they thought it was okay. Alright, and then measurement of angle ABC. You might have to think a little bit on this one. You guys can get it before I tell you the trick. It's not that hard.
9? No.
35 plus,
Oh, yeah. 35 plus 75,
plus
and
35
then 180
minus.
minus that.
Right. So if these two triangles are the same, then these are both 35s. And this is the trick from yesterday. What do we know about the angles in a triangle? They add to 180. So how do I find the third angle? 180 minus these two. Yeah. You could write it like this: 180 minus 35 plus 75. So 180 minus 110 is 70 degrees. Yeah, that's a good idea, Moses. Let's do 20.
Don't move the water.